What is going on, everybody? My name is Kneeckoh and welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC video. Today, I want to talk about the future of this year's VGC formats because I think that this can go one of two ways here, and I'm kind of curious to see how they actually plan to do it. Because we are currently in Regulation C, the Ruined Pokemon are now available, and that runs until June 30th. So I'm curious to see what the future holds, and like I said, I think there's one of two ways that this plays out. Let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen, and if this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you are subbed for more videos like this in the future. But let's get into it. So like I said, Regulation C is currently underway. We are in this format. It started April 1st, and this runs until June 30th. I believe this runs all the way through NAIC. So we have this format for quite a while. However, Worlds will be in a new format after June 30th. And I'm very interested to see what actually plays out. You can see this long list of banned Pokemon that are currently not able to use, and we are supposed to be getting the Pokemon Home update probably at the end of the month or sometime in May, which means we're going to have access to things like the Hisuian Pokemon and things of that nature, which is why I say that this could play out one of two ways here, and I kind of want to talk about each particular way that this could play out. So the first one, I want to stay on this page because I feel like showing a couple of the banned Pokemon that are here kind of indicates what I think the first possible scenario could be for Regulation D. And I definitely think that this is the more likely scenario of the two, and I will explain my thoughts on that. But first, I'm going to scroll down here and talk about two Pokemon in particular, Koraidon and Miraidon, right? So far, we have only been able to use Pokemon that originated in Paldea in all of the formats, and that makes a lot of sense. That excludes Walking Wake and Iron Leaves. Those are not included in the Paldea Pokedex, so you're not able to actually use these. However, Koraidon and Miraidon are members of the Pokedex. And what I think the most likely scenario is that Regulation D completes the Paldea Pokedex. You are able to use all of the Paldea Pokemon in that format, so that way, you know, we kind of get the full effect of what the Paldea Dex can do. And that format will run for like 2 to 3 months, and then we will get into the more expanded Dex formats, and then all of these other Pokemon will then be added to competitive play, things like that. I think this makes a lot of sense, especially when you consider what a lot of the Pokemon are. If you look at a lot of the Violet Paradox, I feel like a lot of these Pokemon are kind of hindered right now. Not talking about like Iron Bundle and Iron Hands that are already incredibly prevalent in the format, but I'm talking about a lot of the other ones like Iron Moth, Iron Valiant. All of those Pokemon would benefit so dramatically from having Miraidon set electric terrain that I feel like that opens up the floodgates for those Pokemon to actually perform. So then we would see the full effect of what the Paldea Dex can do, and it would be a really interesting format. I think this is the more likely scenario because then they just wrap up Paldea, and then we don't know when the DLC is actually coming. It said fall and then winter of 2023. So I think it's more likely that we get this and then we start getting more expanded formats with DLC Pokemon, Hisuian Pokemon, things like that, because of the fact that we are getting DLC so late into the year. It makes a lot of sense when you consider it from that standpoint, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I personally would love to see that. We already kind of got a little hint at it with the Paldea Prologue stuff, so I think that this is a really, really solid way for them to move into the next format and then start expanding upon it. You know, give us a full year of just what we have in Scarlet and Violet and then start growing that. However, there is the second option. Like I mentioned before, there is a good chance that we get the update for Pokemon Home soon, which would then give us access to Pokemon like Ursaluna, Kleavor, you know, all of those fun Hisuian Pokemon. There's a handful that I'm really excited to team build with, and I think that that is a very likely scenario as an alternative to what I mentioned before for Regulation D, where instead of getting the legendary Pokemon, we actually get access to the Hisuian Pokemon. Now, I think this is less likely. I think Pokemon wants to stretch this out as long as possible, and they need to keep having fresh new formats, and I think it makes the most sense if they do the Regulation D with Koraidon and Miraidon, and then in the next format, they remove Koraidon and Miraidon. We go back to just having, you know, maybe the Ruinous Legends, things like that, and then we have the Hisuian Pokemon added, and some of the other Pokemon like Typhlosion, Charizard, Decidueye, all those that were already there are also added to the format. That would make a lot of sense following in, like, what would that, Regulation E, right? Regulation E, because then Worlds is about over, all that fun stuff is wrapping up, and we're getting into the new year, new season, working to Worlds 2024. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then after that format, we'd get to Regulation F, and we'd have access to the DLC Pokemon, the first round of DLC. So whatever the, I don't remember what, the Teal Mask, that's what it's called. We'd have access to the Teal Mask Pokemon. So, you know, you have things like Monkey Dory, Okidogi, Fezandipity, all those Pokemon would be then added to competitive play. Then the next format by that time would likely mean that the second DLC is already out, and we would then have access to those Pokemon. And that makes a lot of sense. And then they can go into the expanded formats with more restricted Pokemon, add in legends here and there, maybe do a format where there's no terrestrialization. We know they did that with Dynamax. I wouldn't put it past them to do it with terrestrialization. So I think when you look at it, I think it makes the most sense for them to kind of hold their cards on the Hisui Pokemon. We already have some in the game, like we have Hisuian Zoroark that we can't use. So I think it makes a lot of sense for them to kind of hold those pieces back and be like, hey, we're going to give them to you eventually. You can have them in the game. You can start shiny hunting. You can start prepping with them. But you're going to use Koraidon and Miraidon for a little bit and enjoy that Paldea Dex format. And then we will start expanding. Then we will start moving and changing stuff around. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Maybe they'll do a ban list format. They did that in Sword and Shield where they banned like the top 10 most used Pokemon. I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't think they want the same instance that they had with Sword and Shield where, you know, like halfway through the first season, they added Incineroar and then Incineroar was just there all the time. Incineroar never stopped being good. It was just always dominant. So I don't think they want that scenario. I think they want us to be able to marinate in what is the Paldea Dex, because there's a lot of fun tools to use in those in that 400 Pokemon list. I don't think they want to ruin that quite yet. I think they want to conserve it and then start expanding. And I do want to play with the Hisuian Pokemon. Don't get it twisted. I am so excited to build a team with Ursaluna on it. I love Ursaluna so much. I'm also really looking forward to Hisuian Gudra. I think that could be a really fun Pokemon to build around. So there's a lot of tools in there that I want to use and I'm very excited to try. However, I'm willing to wait patiently for that to actually happen because I do think it's going to happen. I just think it's going to take a second. So those are my thoughts on what the future of regulations can be. I just thought it would be a fun talking conversation because I've already been talking to a couple of my buddies who play about it. And I just think it's really interesting. I think this is one of the most fun times that I've had playing competitive Pokemon. I played a lot in Sword and Shield, but this just, I don't know. Every format feels so fresh and so new in this game. And there's so many fun tools to play with that I think that it's just going to keep getting better and better the further we get into Scarlet and Violet. And it just makes me incredibly excited for the future of Compet. But like I said, that is it. If you enjoyed the video at any point, leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Like I said before, check out the comment section and answer the question, what do you think is the more likely scenario? Do we get Koraidon and Miraidon or do we get Hisui next? I think it could go either way, but I'm leaning more toward Koraidon and Miraidon. Also, check out the Discord where people over there playing Pokemon all the time. And if you want to see more from me, check out any of these videos here on screen for you guys. I think the Typhlosion raids are back tonight. Blissey raids are back tonight. So check out these two videos. Actually, I'll put those up for sure. Typhlosion raid counters as well as the Blissey update stuff. So check that out. But until next time, peace.